answer your king.
Not your boy, not your gal, not your buck, not your wench, not your slave, not your coon, not your shine, not your spade, not your jigaboo, not your jungle bunny, not your mammy, not your pickaninny, not your tar baby, not your colored, not your citizen.
You can't have my soul. You can't have my soul. Can't have my soul. Can't have my soul. They will bleed just like we. Don't you know you're royalty? 'Cause they don't want you to see. Don't you know you're royalty? They don't live in harmony. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Hey, call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Hey, hey, call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. Call me Mandingo. I'll be Mansa. I'll be Mansa. Get free. 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 Call me Mandingo. You can call me Mandingo. You can call me Mandingo. Get free. But I'll be Mansa. King, 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 king.
6'1", 260 pounds. Do you think I was built for anything other than revolution, evolution? I'm ready. Keep on.
Perhaps I could have got away on beat for you catching me. You remember that? You remember that all day? You killed me. You remember that? You killed me. Niggas like you just prove what the Pecker would say. We're just beasts. Willing to do anything. Kill each other. No mind. No feeling. Least why I ain't gonna die like you gonna die. Like a slave. I ain't giving no lifetime of misery and sweat to this Peckerwood. I'd rather die than be a slave. You Peckerwood. That's right. You Peckerwood was oppressed in your own land. And you brought us here. But now we here. And you just better know. This is just as much our land as it is yours. And after you hang me, kiss my ass. I'd rather die than be a slave.
Call me Mandingo.
Peace, peace, peace. Shalom, Shabbat Shalom, everyone. With another study session. All right. I am Chief Yuya, and you're of course tuned into the Anu Life Global Ministries. I'm unmuted. And I shared in the last session that typically we do study sessions within the community. I see some people in the chat. I'm just pulling up the chat, so if there's a problem, you can let me know. Okay, I see my one. Give thanks for the one, so I know I'm being heard. I guess I can maybe set my phone there so I can look at the chat at the same time. It's gonna fall. But yeah, like I shared, the study sessions are an opportunity for us to get caught up on some things we need to know and get a little smarter about a few things. And it's something that we do every 7 days within Anu. But when I'm doing study sessions, I'm going to try to do mine public as much as possible. And the study sessions, of course, they're not really study sessions per se. They're more like build sessions, where we just take an opportunity to just share what we've been on, share what we've been studying, share with what's been affecting us, in terms of what's been what we've been applying and coming to revelations about and actually utilizing. It's one thing to just sit there and always say, I'm reading this and I'm reading that and I'm seeing this and I'm seeing that. And sometimes people would do that forever. They'll reflect you to death. I'm reflecting on this about myself and I'm reflecting on that and I'm reflecting on that and I'm seeing this and wow, when you taught that, it made me think of this and made me think, when are you going to do something? Faith without works is dead. So being able to actually put your feet to the ground and move through the world of the living and to struggle is a critical part of the equation, because without that, there is no birthing of anything. There's no birthing of anything until you have correspondence. You have to look at like the law of correspondence. I was speaking recently about how the symbols and the things that we see, like even our astrology and those different sort of phenomenon, as some people see them, that they're really just an after effect. They're a reflection of what's going on, not necessarily what should be governing you, right? So it's this thing like, with the things that you do, they're a reflection of what's going on in heaven. You have symbols like I did a post recently on my IG, on the Chief Yuya IG page, and it was something with some Ethiopians who they lay claim to be Yehudites or to be Bnei Israel or children of Israel. And of course, for them, they use the colors blue and white, and they use the six-pointed star. And I had put up a post sharing that six-point star is not that's not a symbol of Yaqub or Israel and his 12 sons or his 12 tribes, necessarily. And it's not to say that symbol is inherently evil or there's something wrong with it, because there's many groups that use you know, the triangle and then the inverted triangle. So it doesn't necessarily mean like, oh, that's bad, you shouldn't use that. I see the chat coming in. I'm trying to rig something up here. All right, I feel sturdy. So yeah, and peace, Ra9 and Steph Love and Mayubat, peace, brother, and Master Menelec and Aki Zach, you know, and of course House of Yuya, Oh, that's right in your face. I didn't even notice. I put it off to the side a little bit. Okay, I see the phone is in the camera line. All right, I'll get it out the camera line. Here we go. Let me try to move it over like this. I think it's out now. Um, yeah, peace, peace. Two times. Zach two times. For doubles, but I had shared that, and I think one of the important things that we always have to keep in mind is like symbols are great depending on like your understanding of them. You know what I mean? A lot of times people don't understand the placement and the value of symbols, or if it's something that exists outside of their circumference of information, it becomes something evil. You know, when people see those stars, especially like, or even like an inverted cross, they'd be like, "Oh, that's devil worship, that's Satan worship," because they don't really understand what they're looking at. You know what I mean? Like when you see that triangle, and then the inverted triangle, it's a call to the law of correspondence. That's actually what it's speaking about there. So the law of correspondence is as above, so below. As within, so without, as in heaven, so on earth, right? So that's something is important that we have to be reminded of like every day, because a lot of times we're going through situations in life, and we hardly ever want to see what we're experiencing in our body and in our reality is a product of what we're experiencing in our heaven. Heavens are our mind, so as the mind is, so the body is, and because the only heaven that you're going to have immediate access to is your mind. So when we say like as above, so below, or as in heaven, as it is on earth, the heavens is your heavens, it's your thoughts, your head. So it's a good symbol. You know what I mean? It's a good symbol. And And there's other sort of symbols that are sometimes used, that are valuable. Sometimes you see the 5 pointed star, right? 5 pointed star. A lot of times you see the 5 pointed star within the context of like a square. That's a very one, especially in the West. And when you add up those points, you get 9 points between the 5 pointed star and the square, right? So the 9 points is representative, supposed to be representative of the nine heavenly bodies. Your seven planets, and then you have your sun, and then you have your moon, which is supposed to be the nine heavenly bodies. So then those nine heavenly bodies are the influencers, or like the gods, if you will, of the lower self, or the lower nature, right? So sometimes you'll see symbols like that. It's sometimes right in front of your face. You know what you're looking at, but it becomes a challenge when people make them religious symbols, and they start to apply them to a deity that ain't even ain't even thinking about you like that, or the deity doesn't necessarily need to use the symbol because symbols are the languages of the deity. So it's nothing special to them. It's like there's so much debate over like what language should be spoken. And Brother Zach says, and it makes me think of the war in heaven for one's thoughts, which makes me think of the intro to an old man of having the mind of a slave. Yeah, if you have a mind of a slave, I mean, you're like a Doman in the garden. Like if you got that slave mind, you know what I mean. But there's a cost for freedom at the same time. Some people prefer to be the slave. That's not a nod to go into the Matrix. I know what character you want to bring up. But yeah, man. Yeah, so it's like you gotta once you understand like the value of symbol, then you'll get like so like even the post I put up, it wasn't a knock like, oh y'all shouldn't be using that. Use whatever the heck you want. It's the same thing like with language. People always like, what language should we speak? And speak a old language, learn a old language, learn a old temple language, learn the language that your holy books, quote unquote, were written in, so that way you can understand the root of some of the things you're saying sometimes. But a lot of times it's just as valuable to create a compendium in your own language based on another's language. Like for instance, when we look at the word Allah and we say Allah, Allah, and oftentimes we say arm, leg, arm, head. Now, arm, leg, arm, head, those are English words, right? But we're saying Allah as an Arab. So does Allah mean arm, leg, arm, head? No, but it kind of does if you understand the nature of Allah. So it's like you could bring life to things in your own language too, and that becomes like its own symbol. Or if we take the word, okay, what does Zach say here? Would the symbol apply? Would the symbol apply to a deity be a nod to a new god? I'm not sure what you're asking. Um, would the symbol applied to a deity be a nod to a new god? I don't want to answer that yet. I don't know if it's a question if you just throwing it in there for the room to eat up. Um, but I'm not really sure the like I'm not totally clear. I could answer it, but then I might not go down the road that you want me to go down on that one. But if somebody else does understand it, you could kick it off. You know what I mean? Um, but yeah, man, like we have these different words that are symbols too, like Allah, arm, leg, head. What does that tell me? I'm Allah. Okay. So that gives me some understanding of the nature of what God is, or, which is kind of a funny term too, even to say that. God, for instance, right? We look at the word God, we say, I ain't messing with that. Cool. I don't really use it that much either. But then if I look at it from a compendium, sort of, using it as a holder of a greater concept, God, God, generator, operator, destroyer. Yeah, that's about right. So what is the generator? Generator is the mind. What is the operator? The operator is the body. right? What is the destroyer? The destroyer is the lower nature. So God is the mind, the body, and the active transformative nature all in once. All right, yeah, I could work with that. So it may not necessarily be what the word means per se, but you can like create or understand the symbolism of it, in that sense. Zach says when folks apply a symbol to a god that doesn't really fit, I'm wondering if that would be one making up a new god as opposed to a language that used, if that makes sense. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. All gods are made up. So you know what I mean. At the end of the day, it kind of doesn't really matter. They all are thought projections. They're all made up. If you really understand the nature of God, because for you to see God, like once you start using names, like or a name, or sometimes a symbol, maybe not so much a symbol, but once you start using a name for a deity, it's a subjective sort of descriptor, right? So you could look at it like with Adoma and in the garden. Like he had a job, he had dominion over all the animals, and what he had to do with those animals was name them, right? It wasn't like some like if it was me, it'd probably be lazy. You know what I'm saying? I'd be like, you're A, you're B, you're C, you're D. I'm not going through all that. You know what I'm saying? So it was a very high intelligent, intricate process, to be like, you a roach, cockroach. You know what I'm saying? Shoe fly. To really name all of these animals, because once you named them, you provided them with a nature. Your name and your nature should always be the same, right? So it's like when we look at Ari, you know, which in Hebrew, in root, that's lion. Like when you see Ariel, it means the lion of Yah, the lion of El, right? But if you break down the Ari in your Hebrew, you have the terms there that would make you understand why they call the lion the king of the jungle, right? Because I mean, technically, the lion isn't the king of the jungle, like physically. A gorilla tear a lion up, a tiger tear a lion up, elephants tear a lion up. You know what I mean? So what is it outside of its physical prowess that allows it to have that resh, meaning the crown, the head, in its name, and the aleph in its name? The aleph being the force and the masculinity of the Most High, along with being king of the Most High. Like what is it in that name? So then we start to study it to say, oh, that's you have a royal nature that allows you to be the king of the jungle. You know what I mean? So it's just like when you apply a symbol to a deity, it's subjective based on our lower nature. Our lower nature looks at the higher nature and gives it a symbol. Or if we're functioning from our higher nature, we see the symbol that's already right in front of us. We don't always see it. You know what I'm saying? So then we have to make, like I said, like all the gods are made up. They all made up. You know what I'm saying? Because we're looking at objective nature. It's not like when Adam was naming the animals. He was looking at it objectively. And why was it objective? Because he had dominion over them. See, once you have something's name, you can control it, right? So the highest deity would never give you its name. You can't know my name. You know what I mean? You can know some of my attributes. I'll let you know that I am the Yod He Vav He. Yeah, I'm the unseen hand that comes from above and connects heaven to earth. Yeah, I'll let you understand that. But I ain't my name. Don't worry about what my name is. Get children like, what's your real name, Daddy? Daddy. You know what I'm saying? Or Baba, whatever it is. You can't know my name. You know what I'm saying? Um, so it's the same thing with the deities. We apply these different ideas to different archetypes, but they're thought projections. I promise you. Just like if 10 of us stood in a room and said, "Do we believe in God?" We 10 of us might say yes, right? But it's all of us. It's a subjective idea of what we think a God is, because you can't objectively know what God is if you see it as above you. If it's above you, you can't even see all of it. So it's still a subjective idea. So all the gods are made up. You know what I'm saying? So your goal is to really understand when the high deities are speaking. You see, now the high deities don't speak through your language. I don't care how old your language is. I don't care if it's Hebrew, if it's Akkadian, if it's Sumerian. If it's Gez, they don't speak through that language because they already gave you what they are through nature. Nature is the language of the deity. You see, so when you look at nature, you see the symbol of what the deity is. You see what the deity is saying to you. And when you kind of get into the higher sciences, you then design your whole political, economic. All right, I see it on the screen. Thank you. Take it off. I see that you design your whole political, familial, freaking militaristic. All of your strategy is based off of the symbols you see in nature. Nature is the language of the deities. They ain't no other. So every symbol that you have is based off of something that's in nature. You see, so you can make up a symbol, and then this is a god. Yeah, it'll be a god, but it's only a god to half your body, because remember, as above, so below. You have a higher nature, you have a lower nature, right? Higher nature, lower nature, meaning you have a higher name, you have a lower name. So the stuff you make up, it speaks to your lower name, it speaks to your lower self, right? And that's fine, because your goal as a deity on the planet is to evolve the lower with the higher. A lot of times we look at the lower nature and be like, yeah, I got to get rid of this. No, you don't get rid of it, you evolve it. You see? But what am I using to evolve this beast? Like I said, God, G-O-D, generator destroyer. The destroyer is the lower nature. You see? Now, when you can combine G-O-D and become the generator, become the operator, become the destroyer, then now you're operating as the high deities that you're trying to pray to and stuff like that, But that's not an easy process. It's not like so if anybody jump in the chat, be like, that's what I'll be doing. No, you don't. So before you start, just put the thumbs away. You ain't doing that, So Zach says, then religion would have one stuck on how to pull those attributes to one, as spirituality would have one through different aspects of that name. Truth be told, man, religion gets a bad rap. Truth be told, I'll take religion over spirituality, because spirituality is really you just like, traveling through. It may not be different aspects of that name. Spirituality have you traveling through different aspects of a bunch of different names and going nowhere. Whereas religion will have you dig and find the truth of something. It's just the problem is just the way that the religions are presented to us in this day and time. We get super confused because they're tricky. Once the Pope called that Council of Nicaea in 325 AD, and Rome was seeking to take Christianity. Christianity was invented in Alexandria. Alexandria is a part of Kemet or Nile Valley, or what you would call Egypt. That's where Christianity comes from, right? 325 AD, the Pope was like, I need that. See that right there? I need that. So he creates this Nicene Council. And the Nicene Council, and it was several councils, right? And they're like, yo, we're going to take that. 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 That's ours. You see? So now when it's presented back to you, and of course it doesn't make any sense really, because some of the things that are said, it's like, some of this is wrong, right? It's hard to trace it, but some of it ain't right. The only 10 commandments, only 10? Something don't feel right in my soul. So that was the making of something, and then there was symbols that were combined along with it. Now, does that become a god? Yeah, but what is a god other than a title? It doesn't. You could be generator, owner, destroyer, generator, operator, destroyer. You could be arm, leg, arm, head. Now what? Now what do we do? You see? Cherry picking and blending the word is what those councils did. Right. They made a magazine, the whole book. People be swinging that book up in the air. See, I trust this. What about the other books? You missing a lot of stuff in there. You read the Ethiopian Bible, and that's when you get all the information about the Nephilim. That's when it really goes into the story of Enoch. You see, like, and they could swing theirs in the air and say this book. So yeah, they made a magazine. They was like, yo, put this, put that in, put this on a cover, put that, like, it was just a magazine that they made. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, like a ransom note. You know what I'm saying? So the symbols of different deities is like, it's for lower vibration. And then when you start operating from higher vibration, you start seeing higher stuff. Zach says, so would it be safe to say that under the hood of all spirituality sits religion? No, no, no. I would say the opposite. Because remember, we live in a spiritual universe. If I say I'm a spiritual person or I practice spirituality, what does that mean? That means nothing. That means nothing at all. That's like me saying I practice flesh. I'm a fleshly person. Okay, I wouldn't be if I wasn't sitting here talking. But what's animating my body? A spirit. So to be a spiritual person, all people are spiritual. Every person on the planet is spiritual. If you wasn't spiritual, you wouldn't be able to speak. That's what animates you. So that's where you get trapped. That's where you get caught idol worshiping, running around wasting your time. You know what I mean? Because you following different spirits. Oh, I feel the spirit there, spirit there. This spirit, this is an ancient god. This, man, I don't care about none of that right there. I don't care about none of that right there. See, you gotta know how to look at nature. You could wipe all of it off the table, burn down all the libraries, and just look at nature. Because think about how many symbols even the Muslims destroyed when they came into the continent. Man, they was going crazy because they had a big issue with what they considered to be idol worship. So a lot of the different nations and tribes there who had their idols, they was coming through destroying them things. You know what I mean? So does that knock anything out of whack? Not really. Not really. Like half the time, the idol is just for decoration. I mean, I'm looking at all the different African fabrics. Shoot, I got a Nefertiti right there. I got a tut over there. I got another tut in the window somewhere back there. I mean, I got mad stuff, man. I got a tree of life right there in color behind you. I don't need none of that. It's just decoration. It's decoration, man. You know what I'm saying? Because I could look up in the sky and get everything I need. But it takes a while to have that kind of vision. It's not something you get every night, overnight. So somebody might be like, yeah, that's what I do. It's because you're too lazy to read. You're too lazy to read. Because when I show you my library of well over 1,500 books, and I've read all of them, well over, then you realize like, okay, no, I just wasn't looking at a star all day. Like, yeah, it's study too, but it evolves your mind, it transforms your mind, so you start seeing the world differently. Jason says, is there worldly spirits created by man and spirits not from this world? Of course. you, like, of course, because I'm just laughing because I'm not laughing at you. I'm tickled by the question. We are spirits not from this world. That's why I'm laughing. We're not from this world. We are the spirits that invaded this world. So there are worldly spirits created by man. Sure, absolutely. I mean, there's a bunch, man. To create a spirit is to create a thought. If you can create a thought, you can create a spirit, right? So then we have to say, well, where thought of us come from? It didn't come from this world. It came from what you would call outer space. But like, that's a great example. Like when we say like, yo, you don't really have to like, it's like what you're studying from, because like symbol. I could go to the remote, like a really remote part of the world, right? And be amongst people that I cannot speak their language. They don't speak my language. And we look up at the night sky. If we just did like this, we both know what we're saying because of the spirit that's active in us. We both know if we do this or we're like, or we take some tobacco or something and blow it to the sky, we know we're acknowledging the infinite. We both know that. We know we're not saying there's something hovering 20 feet above our heads and we're like, oh, hey, how's it going? We know that's not what it is. So even if I read in their literature, if I could figure it out, and it says something about the infinitum of the sky, I know what they're saying because we're functioning with the same groove, right? See, that's when you're dealing with nature-based people. Nature-based people, they can skip over a lot of stuff, like in terms of like even learning each other's words, right? Because the nature-based people, this is why like certain things like the sun, right? There is an SON and there's a SUN, right? They are encapsulated within the same space. And one is a source and the other provides nourishment and life, right? Um, but they both look like the same thing, but one is a reflection of its source, right? So when one says, I and the Father are one. If you have looked upon the Son, you have seen the Father. Because you can only look upon the Son. You can't see what's behind the Son, which is the Father. You see? So anywhere I go in the world, anywhere I go, right? I in Cleveland, right? I'm in Cleveland, and on the other side of the world, Genghis Khan's great 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 granddaughter, she can measure herself by the same sun that I can measure myself by, which unites us. If I say we're gonna do this thing 60 seconds from the sunrise, we both are, see, that's the symbolic, the sun itself is a symbol. And what is the symbol of? That you all gonna get the same thing. There's nowhere on this planet that doesn't get the sun. You all gonna get this work. You all gonna get this revelation. Don't let these devils try to trick you. You all gonna get the revelation. Because you all can see the sun. SON. SUN. The sun has been revealed to all of y'all. So Genghis Khan, you know what I mean? Like, we looking at the same sun, and we can have the same sort of even mathematical computations from that sun. You see, because it's going to move at the same speed for her that it's going to move for me. You see, but it's a symbol. It's not the thing. The lower order, I guess, like what Jason was asking about, like man making religions or like man making spirits. That's when you start to worship that sun. When you build whole religious beliefs around that sun. And you don't realize that you are now worshiping a symbol. You are not worshiping the thing that sent the symbol. The Father sent the Son. Like, we know that, right? From basic spiritual literature. The Father sent the Son. So why would you worship the Son when you should be worshiping the Father? Because the Father sent its symbol to you. You see, that's why you have to be careful, man. Like when people, they want to have arguments around, like, even like how you pronounce stuff. Like, yo, brother, it's Yahuwah. Nah, brother, it's Yahweh. You know, it's Yahashua. No, it's Yahawashai. It's Yeshua. You're talking about a symbol, Brody. That's a symbol. That's not the thing. It's a symbol, right? What is the thing? So if we break the word down, Yahshua means Yah is salvation. So the name itself is a symbol for a concept. Yah is salvation. You see? Yali says, can we view religion as the thing or symbol that each people gets as disciplines or path back to Father based on their inequity? Yes. I wouldn't view I would cut out the middle part. So can we view religion as a thing or a symbol? I wouldn't say as the symbol. The religion is not the symbol. The religion is the path. So I would just take out the or symbol. Can we view religion as a thing that each people gets as a discipline or path back to the Father based on inequity? Right. Different people need different things at different times. But if you understand, all right, when you read like my book, Shrine and Altar, what am I breaking down in that book? You would think I'd be like, this is why you, well, I did kind of say this is why you do this, but I'm mainly breaking down elements and I'm breaking down directions: north, south, east, west, center, fire, water, earth, ether. You know, I'm breaking down the elements for you. Why? Because once you understand the elements, then you'll be able to have better conversations with nature. Once you can have better conversations with nature, you can see the doggone path. It's like a hunter can see that something has gone a certain way just by things look out of place. That leaf shouldn't be turned that way. That branch shouldn't be broken like that. Something came this way. Let me go down this path. You see? But you can only do that when you have an understanding of how nature actually moves and works, you know? Jason says, shop instead of worship the sun, worship what's behind the sun, like the sun is the magic trick and the father is the musician. Yeah, you can look at it like that. If you understand that the magic trick is a source, is a symbol. John 4:34, Menelik says, Yahweh Shai saith unto them, my meat is to the will of him that sent me and to finish his work. Right, right. So it's always a reference, I was sent, right? So I'm coming here and I'm showing you an example of how to do things, symbol, which but I'm a symbol that holds a bigger concept. It's like what Jason just said. Like the son is the magic trick and the father is the magician, right? Well, look at magic. There's a confusion around magic. We can look at tarot. People throw tarot cards. Yo, let me read your tarot cards for you. That's not how you're supposed to use them. You're messing it up. Tarot is the same word as Tara. Like Tara, you know, like people got the name Tara. Tara and tarot come from the same root. But the word that also comes from that root is Torah. Torah, tarot, Tara. So tarot cards or tarot is a source holder. It's like a volume set for volumes of information that would be Torah. What is Torah? The words from the Most High, the laws from the Most High. So tarot, actually, if you know how to read them and look at them properly, because you're not supposed to just you're supposed to look at them. It's like a painter reading the first 5 books of Moses, let's say, the Torah, and saying, I'm going to do a picture series to outline the journey that I see inside of these books. You see? So if you understand the science of the book, the unfolding or the ending of that journey ends with Yahweh Shai. You see? It begins with Abraham and then it ends with Yahweh Shai. So I could draw a whole art like set doing that, right? Now you're supposed to look at these and look at the journey. Like the first card is what? The Fool. Okay, we all start out as a fool. Everybody plays the fool, just like the song. Main ingredient sung in that song. Everybody plays the fool. Okay, that's where we start out. Where we go after being a fool. You see? So the symbols is like to really tell you what direction you're going. It's no different than the zodiac or the zodiacus. That was the Greek term for it. Zodiacus was actually a woman. And okay, before I even tell you that one, here's another great thing to tell you about symbols. So zodiacus, which later became the zodiac, zodiacus was symbolized in Kemet as Isis, or who we know as Osset, right? Now, Zodiacus, Osset, or Isis, they're not the same person, but Isis was the closest symbol related to Zodiacus, which, again, zodiac. And in different cultures, like the Arabs, they say the word different, and then the Greeks say it another way, and then we say zodiac most of the time, right? And people get hung up on that, like, no, you gotta pronounce it like I don't care, like say it however you say it, man. Some people got speech impediments. You know what I mean? You ever hear RZA talk? RZA can't. I don't know why he call himself the RZA. He can't even pronounce R's. Everything's a W. Wizard, young wizard. You know what I mean? So it's like how I say it is not as critical as you understanding the concept and the symbols behind the concept, right? So it's just like the zodiac. The zodiac represents what? There's only 12 people on the planet. No matter how special you think you are, there's 12 people. Okay. And as you grow and as you develop, you become something where there is no identity. See, because that's the whole point of moving by. I'm gonna answer this real quick. Yafe says, is there a connection between some languages for land or terra and Torah? Absolutely there is. Um, Before you even had terra, you had just ta. Ta. Ta means land. Like in ancient Kemet, we had Ta Mary. Mary is where you get the name Mary, but Mary means beloved. It also is where you have that root for more, actually, but it's the beloved. So when it was Ta Mary, it was my beloved land, right? But the Ta is, yeah, that's a root word of when you're looking at, again, Torah, Tara, and even in Buddhism you have Kuan Yin Jin, or Quan Jin is what she's called, but Tara is the other name. She's called Quan Jin, or she's called Tara. She's a woman, and there's two forms. There's white, well, actually, it's like three of them, because there's green Kuan Yin, red Kuan Yin, white Kuan Yin. And they all kind of have a different kind of Oya kind of spin on them. But yeah, man, it's just like the symbols of the zodiac. People worship those zodiacal animals, like not understanding what's happening. They're just symbols. There's 12 people on this planet. I know you think you special and your mama told you special, and you sit there and you think about things like nobody thinks like me. I'm next level. My G is futuristic. You fit into one of those, right? And what fits into it is your lower nature. That's the whole thing. Your lower nature is going to align with one of those 12 personality archetypes. And that's what you want to escape from, so you could truly become I. See, when you escape from self and move to I, then you're escaping out of your personality. There's 12 personalities that could really be 12 traps. Let me go this fridge. I'll continue. Jay said, then reading tarot cards, should we look at the cards like your book telling you a story? Yeah, or you could look at the cards like a candle. Sometimes you stare at a candle long enough, you start getting ideas. You stare at a body of water long enough, you get ideas, because you see shapes in the water. You see shapes in the flame. That's what tarot's supposed to be. It gets deep. It gets deep. But I don't want to lead y'all too astray with that, because then it gets into divination. And many people don't understand what divination really is. And then it can lead you down the wrong road if you don't understand it. So Sovereignty says, would that idea of tarot and Torah also connect with the I Ching and those pathways created by a hexagram? Yes. I Ching is a smaller version, and then we also have the 256 Odu, which is a larger version. Yeah. I thought y'all was throwing ideas in the chat, man. Thank you, Ra9, for throwing ideas. Everybody throwing questions. Also, Tara, the wife of Brihaspati. Yeah. So that Ta-Ra, always look at the sound of something before you look like at the spelling or whatever. It's just like the sun. We all see the sun. There's going to be different names for that sun at different times. Akhenaten, the long life of the sun, or the everlasting life of the sun. But then you have the term Ra. So which one is Ra or Akhenaten? Well, if you understand the science, Akhenaten is the sun, is the sun, S-O-N, and Ra is the father. You see. So just like we could say, should I say Yahuwah or Yahawashai? Well, they're both like the sun, right? But like they both walk on water, but then one is the most high. Yeah, one is Yahuwah is the higher sun that sent the lower sun to go talk to the little sons. you know. So like when you really get an understanding of it, man, it's there's certain like universal concepts that we're all able to step on and like rock out with. You know, if you really understand. You know, like another good symbol when you look at like a lot of the Moorish, or just look at the Moorish flag, or you look at the Nation of Islam. To some degree, you could even say also the Nation of Gods and Earth, but more so Nation of Islam Moorish flags. You see that crescent moon, and you see that star, right? And you could do like the American flag and be like, I pledge allegiance to the flag, to the symbol, or you could understand what are those symbols on that flag, which is really the key. What are the symbols flag? You know, so like that crescent moon is that Cancer. That's that Cancer zodiac. And the crescent moon is the mother. It's the Cancer, the emotions. It's the woman, right? And then you have the star on the Moorish flag. The star is the father, or it can also sometimes be symbolized as the sun. So it's the masculine presence. So when you see that crescent moon and that star, those two symbols, it's talking about the mother and the son, right? Now, in another form, we call the mother and the son in different, like even in your in Benin, but well, shoot, a lot of different traditions. Like even in Swahili, mother is ma or mama, right? So if we were to look at those two symbols, we have the moon, which is ma, and we have the sun. In the chat, if we put the sun and the moon together and we put the ma and we put sun together, tell me what we get. Let's see. While y'all are giving me that answer, I'm gonna look at some of the other things. Sovereign Eat says, I see. So this leads me to consider the Kabbalah's tree of life is the blueprint to these other forms of tarot, such as runes and the hexagrams. Yes, to a degree, but we also, there you go now. Ding, ding, ding. He hit his buzzer first. Mason. That's the Masons, right? Like most people know when you're dealing with Masonic information, they know like there was a term that we used to use for Masons. It was Muslim son. Mason meant Muslim son, right? But it's the symbolism of the mother and the son, which again takes to the Black Madonna piece, right? They're all symbols, right? Now you've probably never seen a Masonic institution. Well, actually, I have with a Black Madonna, but you don't see them too publicly. We'll say that, right? But you wouldn't think that, oh no, a Mason is someone who works with stonework, and that's why the Masons talk about they have the symbols of masonry because we're building better men. Yeah, you believe that garbage if you want. You believe that nonsense, and you believe Paul Revere rode on a horse to warn them that the British was coming. Paul Revere was a Mason. Believe these stupid stories they told you in school. You know, these are all them stories they told you in school were Masonic stories. They designed your education off of their mythologies. You know, heck, there's a beautiful, it's not beautiful, it's rough memoir of George Washington, who was a Mason. But you know, I think her last name was Bennett. Well, her name was Washington, but it was changed to Bennett. She was the captive of the Washington family, George Washington. You know, um, and when she escaped to freedom, and she wrote, you know, her memoirs and stuff like that, and she shared about like all the things that Martha Washington went through to try to get her back, to bring her back to their house. You know, like I mean, she was on them like my man Jon Snow from goddamn Hunger Games. She was trying to get this black woman back on that plantation. This is George Washington. Mr. You know, cut down the cherry tree and I can never tell a lie and all that other fake Mason stories they be telling y'all. Yeah. So yeah, man. Laffer, what's on the pamphlets they give you on the way in? Way in what? School? He lost me. Men like lost me on that one. um, but yeah, man, like everything is just like when you understand the symbols of things, then you can almost have fun with it because you see sometimes you see the scramble of different cultures. Like, why you got a pyramid on the back of your money? I thought you hated Africans. Why you got a pyramid on it? I would think that'd be the last thing you want to put on it. Don't you want to put some mountains or something? Nice snow or something? Let's see. Ali says that's how the Masons or the system programs the youth through the introduction of symbols that impact them beyond their parents' knowledge. Of course, man. Yo, look right now. Sexy Red was getting ready to sue this school recently because they backed out of a contract for her to perform. I guess one of the somebody in the parent teachers or something got a hold of some of her lyrics. Like I guess they didn't know who they were, who she first booked her. And it was like, you can't come here. But if you know anything about Sexy Red, it's very similar to Nicki Minaj when she first came up. They did these tours of like elementary and middle schools. And you think about it for a second. You're Sexy Red. You know the stuff you be talking about. My booty hole brown, my whole red or pink or whatever the hell she be saying, right? And you getting mad because you can't go and perform in front of children and say those lyrics. It's almost like that's your assignment to go into the school and say, like you're not even colleges. We're talking about elementary and middle schools, not even college. I see okay, college students want to get a little turned up a little bit, whatever. But elementary schools, and you want to my coochie hole pink, my booty hole brown. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, like that's a part of that early programming. It's not just like, I mean, some of the stuff is right in your face. You know what I'm saying? Some of the stuff is right in your face. But then some of the stuff is like, it's like my man Master Killer said. Master said the dumb. If you listen to the Wu-Tang song Triumph, and he says the dumb are mostly intrigued by the drum. You know, that was like one of the illest lines in that whole song. The dumb are mostly intrigued by the drum. You know how many people sometimes if you listen to me, I'll be like, yo, you listen to that? I'd be like, I just like the beat. I bet you do. I bet you do. I just like the beat. I like the music. I like the beat. Right. That's the whole point. You ain't gonna put it on no whack music. You know what I'm saying? You're not gonna put poison in a nasty sandwich. It's gonna come on some pizza, you know, or some chocolate. You know, or some Juice-Aid. What was that one Jim Jones used? It wasn't Kool-Aid. But yeah, so those like your symbols are always we're surrounded by them in America, man. We are surrounded, and some of them, if you really understand, Sexy Red got the best beats right now. Yes, she sure do. Yo, the it's oh yo that well actually that really wasn't his beat that was Lloyd Banks, but that Bobby Shmurda Hot Nigga. I love that track. Oh my God, I love that track. It was originally a Lloyd Banks, but the way it just sounds when it comes on, it just sounds so big. When you hear that siren, whoo, and then when it drops, boom, 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 boom. Yo, they did a number. Whoever engineered that and put those, they did a number. I love the way that sounds, but it's not really something you should be listening to. You know, I mean, it sent him to jail. You know, the lyrics from that song. You know, another song like that from back in the days though. I used to always listen to like, man, how do you get that to sound so huge? Flavor in Your Ear remix. Easy Mo B produced that. It just sounds so big. Boom, boom, boom. And it just sounds huge. And listen to how LL Cool J starts his verse off. I mean, he had to whack his verse, but listen to how he started it off. He, she, blowticious, delicious. What? His first words in the song was he, she, He's licking his lips in the video, leaning in the chair. He, she, delicious. What'd you just say? What'd you just say there? Would you say that? You know, like, what does that mean? What are you talking about? You know, but the beat, Easy Mo B put his foot in that beat, boy. You know, but he, she, delicious. You know, so yeah, man, it always comes with syrupy sweets. Like I said, the greatest con is always given with a smile. Nobody comes to you with an ice grill and a grimace with the greatest grifting. The greatest grifting is always with a smile. You know. But yeah, man, it's all about. I missed all this chat in here. My bad. Let me go through some of this. Um, right into the Masonic Lodge, they deal with stonework and building better men. But you know what? The thing about that with the Masonic Lodge is that building better men, yes, for the lower nature. Deities evolve lower nature with high nature. Like even the nature you see outside. Like you might see little creeping dirt things, dirty things, and you may be like, "Oh, that's all a part of nature. Leave it alone." No, you're supposed to leave it alone. You're supposed to evolve it. That's your job. Evolve it. You see. So it's like it's the same thing. Like yeah, we building better men. Okay, maybe you are a little bit, probably not that much, but maybe a little bit, because I have to be pretty good to get here anyway. This ain't like the Nation of Islam. You know, to be a Mason, I gotta kind of be already somewhat on point and cleaned up anyway to come in through the doors. You know, y'all not getting me off drugs and things like that. So, and the Nation is expert at taking a person from rock bottom and getting them to a civilized state of behavior. They have mastered that process. You know, Master Malik says that listening to the music but not the beat is a good analogy for looking at the symbol and not what it's meant to convey. Exactly. But see, the problem is that your soul knows exactly what's being said. Your spirit knows it. Your conscious mind, it passes by. See, that's the whole thing. Like again, we look at the symbols, the lexicon sort of language. Whether we're looking at the word like Allah, we're looking at the word like God. And oftentimes you've heard me say several things for the word God. You've heard me say Gomer Az Dabaz. Gomer Az Dabar, excuse me, means beauty, strength, and wisdom. Gomer Az Dabar. So you know somebody named Gomer. You be like, Gomer? That's messed up. Gomer means beauty. It's a good name. Oz, the Wizard of Oz. Oz means strength. You know, Dabar or Debar, wisdom. You know? But then you've also probably heard me use gold, oil, and diamonds. I've often said that as the acronym for God. I just when stuff comes, I just say it. Gold, oil, and diamonds. Yeah, that makes sense. That is God for a lot of people, man. You know what I mean? That's God. There's some Edomite. Edomite, he loves some diamonds, boy. You know. So it's different ways that you may look at it in that sense. I was on a question and I jumped off when what was the last one that I had? Or a statement. Yeah, they give you sugar, smile, and silk to lure you in. Right. You know, that's the point. That's smart. That's smart. You know, and if you read the Protocols of Zion, there's a YouTube video somewhere around here on YouTube somewhere floating where I actually do read the Protocols of Zion out. They're on different channels because they keep taking every time I read something, they don't like me reading. The video gets banned. And I'm like, the stuff y'all let stay up here. And then little old me, you know. But yeah, I read the Protocols of Zion, but you could look for them. I'm sure you'll find them online. And they speak about how information would be delivered, or how rather the vehicle for the poison, through sweet words and through syrupy sweets will deliver this agenda and this poison, I mean, I think Tyler Perry is a great example of that. We always say, "Oh, look what he was able to build, man. Man's a genius." A lot of us could put a dress on and do some strange things. Come on, let's be honest on how he made it happen for himself. So yeah, man. And I'm not gonna say there's no knock against him. I don't really care nothing about him, man. You know what I mean? So it's whatever against him. I'm not for him. I sure as hell ain't for him. Every other movie he got, he's disrespected me. He's disrespected masculinity. He's disrespecting original men. And people don't see even the symbol in that, what his agenda is and what he's about in that. They just think, oh, it was funny. It was, you know. So, but yeah, the listening to music but not the beat is a good analogy for looking at the symbol now. But sometimes we're surrounded by well, one of the archons was a section of it. But the protocol of Zions is this. It's a little different. It's similar to the talk I did about the archons, which I think that still might be on. They took it down some of the channels. I got so many channels. They put it put in different places. But some of the symbols we're around are not so bad. But again, if you see that sheriff and he got the 6-pointed star, sometimes there's something in that. There's a science in that you could pick up on. As above, so below. Maybe I was procrastinating and I didn't renew my license. Now I'm getting pulled over and I got a sheriff in front of me and I'm looking at a 6-pointed star. Why? Because what's going on in my head is going to reflect itself in my life. And now I'm being served justice from whatever, from an unjust criminal sort of system. So sometimes you can look at these symbols, and if you have a higher, remember the higher is supposed to evolve the lower. So if you have a higher connection and understanding of the symbols, then you can evolve and reassign what they are in the lower. So at one point you might have seen a dog and was like, it's just a dog. But then when you have a higher understanding of symbols, you might look at the dog and be like, no, that's Sirius B. That's the dog star right there. That's where Patolo is, and that's where my home is, and I come from that star. You might start going there with it. So it allows you to sort of associate and connect yourself with different elements and different realities, but see it with a different sort of eye, as opposed to always seeing something from a reactionary bestial standpoint from your root chakra. See, that's the lower nature, right? So you see a symbol and you're like, oh, what they doing now? you know, Instead of just being able to see it and say like, okay, it means it, or it could, like most time you hear when I interpret symbols, you hardly ever hear me say like, this means this. Because it doesn't. Nothing means anything from a subjective standpoint. Now, if I create the symbol, I can say objectively, this means this. Or if the creator of the symbol says, you name it. Because you remember when Adom was naming the animals, he was describing them. To describe, a name is a description. So to describe something is to ascribe what its nature is going to be. There's nothing in nature that really has a name that doesn't describe what it actually is and does. Now, yeah, you might know the name in English and be like, doesn't make any sense. But that's what English does. It's supposed to do that. Like you could look at a monkey and be like, well, why is a monkey called a monkey? Well, because they didn't tell you where they got the word monkey from. That's why they didn't tell you that the monkey is related to Tahuti. The monkey is associated with the baboon. The baboon was always a symbol of Tahuti because when the sun rises, baboons they're like roosters except physically. They start flipping, going crazy. So that's something that's known about baboons. So the sun represents information. So the monkey, the key. You gotta look at the word key. What's a key? A key is a principle. Just like the 14, I have the 14 keys. I think in the book I say, look at it as the 14 principles. So the monkey, man. Monkey, the key to man. So, but if you don't know, like, why are they always saying like the monkey is closely related? Because the pig is also closely related to human DNA, according to what some people say. But they say, oh, the monkey is so similar. Why the monkey? Why you keep pulling me back to this damn monkey? It's all these animals all over the world. Why the monkey? And then you start to understand like, oh no, that word was for a reason. So baboon is also related to Baba. Now it's starting to make sense. The Tahuti, or what they later called Thoth, which now they call Thought. All of that stuff means something. It's for a reason. So sometimes we don't see these words and understand that the words themselves are a symbol. The symbols are a symbol, and none of them are to be worshipped. And sometimes we worship them by holding on to them too much. We worship them by holding on to them. Like again, how something is pronounced. I have friends who say Jesus. I don't say anything. I don't be like, well, wait a minute, wait now. There's no J's in the Hebrew language, and all right, let's talk. What are we talking about? What are we talking about? And then I have other friends that stress Yahweh. Yo, you gotta say Yahweh. It's Yahweh, brother. It knows who I'm referring to when I'm referring to it. Because you thinking these things, these are concepts. So the actual sky people are just like me. And the actual sky people know, like, well, he did get all his libraries burned down. So if he kind of messes up a word here and there, I can understand. I've worked over the years in my professional life. I've worked with people who have different challenges, whether they be emotional, physical, intellectual. And sometimes you're working with people who can't pronounce things a certain way because of they may have incurred brain damage. I know what you're trying to say. I have somebody I've known for years. I don't know how long I know this dude, but he got into a situation years ago. He's a close friend of mine, and he was shot. So his cognitive, where the bullet hit him, like his cognitive abilities have suffered. Man, he calls me Yahoo every time he sees me. Yahoo, and I've known this man. What are we in 2020? 21 years. At one point, he did say my name right. Then something happened. Now, Yahoo, and he happy when he lights up when I go, yo, Yahoo. Can't say my name, but I know who he's talking to. you know, I know he's talking to me. I'm not going to say it right. No, because see, everything has been encapsulated in that scripture when it says, "My thoughts are not your thoughts." You see, my ways are not your ways. Right? So the functioning of those who are functioning from their higher self and enlightened is so far beyond us that there is a measure of grace. So it's like if I'm speaking to someone who's incurred brain damage because they got popped in the head, like, yeah, my reasoning is beyond this person, but I show grace to say, yeah, Yahoo, okay, I understand. Because that's the difference in our cognitive ability. We're that far apart. You see, Menelik said, oh, I saw a video where a woman who spoke Aramaic and another who spoke Amharic read words in their own language and had the other one guess what it meant. 7 times out of 10, they could tell the word sound. Right. Like you taught before, the closer things get to the root, the more alike they are. The further away they get, the more diverse. Right. And that's how you find the lie. The further away you get. When you're talking about, Bantu languages, or you're talking about Shemitic languages, they're all in a family. And it was these divides drawn. But just like I said, we could speak to anybody, and there's certain symbols that we all have that mean the same thing. That if I clutch my heart and I like, oh, I'm hurting. Something happened. Not necessarily physically, right? Or like I said, if I point to the sky, we all understand I'm talking about the infinite. If I point to the moon, anybody from an indigenous culture, that has nature-based system, that's all indigenous people, right? Including my people. We base what we understand off of the symbols in nature. They give us confirmation for what's already inside of us. It's that edukare. See, the symbols are supposed to be the edukare. What is the edukare? To draw out. The symbols, when I stare at tarot cards, or I stare at a certain symbol, or I'm looking right now at the Anu Ministries logo, it pulls something out of me. You see, that's the whole point. So I could be on the other side of the world looking at a sunrise or looking at a sunset. It's a universal thing that I'm gonna have with the person sitting next to me, even if we don't speak the same language, right? Or sometimes you look at you go to other parts of the world, and like I've been to certain parts in the world where like um I've eaten oranges, but they're not orange, they're green. And they're hard, like the skin is like you can't peel them with your fingers. It's impossible. Like you got to cut them, you know. But they're sweet, sweeter than the oranges you might have here. And you might be like, but that's an orange. That's an orange. Yeah, it is an orange. It feels different, looks different, you know. But it's sweet. It's good, you know. So that's the thing. It's like there's certain things that are universal, and the symbol brings out that truth that exists in all of us. And then we interlock through that truth by the understanding of the symbols. If we can all look at the sun, or look at the moon, or look at a tree, or look at an animal, and understand the symbol that is sharing with us, then we connect in that moment. But if we're people who are anti nature, who have no connection with nature, no ability to see and understand the subtle signs of nature, we can never connect. You see, then we have to use man-made symbols and false religions to create a false connection between you and I. You see, that's where you get the concept of like sistren and brethren. There was really no sistren. That's something that's made up, but brethren, right? Or brethren. Let me say it the way it's supposed to be said. Brethren, right? There's a stark difference. I've never called my brother. I have a biological brother. I have never called my brother my friend. But I would call the men in Anu my brethren, right? So if you understand the difference, and these are small differences, but they're important differences. So brethren means that we're a part of the same initiatory or fraternal order. That's what brethren means. There's a specific meaning to it. So you'll look at it and just think like, oh, it's just old language. Same thing as brother. It don't mean the same thing as brother, right? So I may have more in common and a more common sort of um, objective with my brethren than I do with brothers. There's a difference, you see. So yeah, man, there's right. You know, there's certain things that are universal in the language. A man points to his mouth when he's hungry, right? You know, but some things, even with that, may not be as universal. Because like a smile. Now we know. See, this is where you learn to read nature. A smile could mean a lot of different things. Doesn't always mean you're happy. Like I've often said, a smile is a frown turned upside down. I've been saying that for like 30 years now. A smile is a frown turned upside down. Don't you know? And I, being from New York, we understand like because you know people think like people from New York like we're super aggressive and stuff like that, and we probably are a little bit. But it's not so much that we're aggressive; we're very defensive because we're surrounded by people who want to beat us up and rob us and con us out of our money. You know, New York is a very expensive place to live. It's a very rough place, and it's the home of the wolves. Like you had that movie Wolf of Wall Street. This is where wolves live. You see, so yeah, somebody come up to you smiling, you like, you already know, like, or somebody run across the street, yo, my man, mm-mm, mm-mm, nope, mm-mm, don't come over here. You already getting into fight stance. You're already pulling your pants up and like, yo, you know, because a smile doesn't always mean the same thing. So one might think like, oh, a smile is universal. Smile mean you got to read the energy. It could mean that, but sometimes people have the most wicked endeavor in mind when they're smiling. And smiling because it's like, what I'm getting ready to do to you, you know? So some things are universal, but some things, sometimes we got to learn nature. We got to learn the nature of people to understand what's really happening. Like people know me, know that when I'm upset, I get quiet. That's not usually what people who are upset do. People usually who are upset, they get louder. I'm the exact opposite. I get quiet. The quieter I am, the more upset I am. So some things you can read universally, and some things you have to learn. Right? That's my he she. Yeah. You know. And sometimes you got to learn the culture. That's why it's important, even when you study in these ancient words, man. You got to know the culture of who's talking. Like I'm gonna give you an easy one right here. When we look at like the New Testament, if you're a person who reads the New Testament, you have all of these letters from Paul to the different churches, right? Different areas. There's something that's largely missing when you read in those testaments. I'm gonna ask somebody if you could tell me what it is in the chat. Tell me what's missing. Tell me what's missing. I'm just laughing because I just thought about an older brother of mine. He called one of my tails out that I never knew I had until he said it. He was like, "Yo, I noticed when you upset, you always bite your bottom lip. You be doing like this." And then he said, "Your right knee start bouncing up and down, like you start bouncing your leg up and down, and you be like this. You just be real quiet." And then my other brother was like, "You be like this." He was talking like that, like you be talking so soft, it just be like air coming out. He's like, "That's when I know you mad. When you be talking, it just be like." Our brothers are clowns. They are clowns. But yeah, he was like, "Yeah, you always one side." Because I was out one time once with my older brother, and he snatched me up. A situation was kind of happening. Dude snatched me up like by my neck, like put his arm around me. He's like, "Yo, come on." Like only my brother can do that. So just in case any of y'all think y'all gonna keep my effing hands off me. But my brother is different. So he was like, "Come on, let's go, let's go." And I'm like, "What?" And he was like, "Nah, you was biting your lip. I knew what you was getting ready to do." He was like, "You was going biting your lip and you was going in your pocket." And I was like, I ain't even know anybody knew. You never know who's watching. Okay, so none of y'all had the answer. I should have known a bunch of freaking heathens. You know what I mean? So the answer is you never heard the response from the churches. You never even got to read like a letter they may have written to him that he was responding to. So like when you're reading certain things, you're not, yeah, I saw the joke. Sincerely yours, Paul the Apostle. I got it. Okay, funny. Ha ha ha. Take that off my damn screen. So you better take that off my goddamn screen. Somebody gonna get hurt. Take it off the screen. Ooh, okay. Let me count the seconds it's staying on the screen since I said take it off. 5. And I ain't gonna tell you what these seconds represent. 4, 3, 2. Oh, it's off for y'all? Okay. Yeah, okay. All right. So I'm gonna let you. I don't want no joke in front of me while I'm saying something. All right. Anyway, but back to my speech. No, but we don't know what was said in response. We don't know why he was saying what he was saying. Like we know, like when he was writing to the letters to the church of Corinth, like yeah, they would, they were wilding. They were on some pride. Like serious, they had a lot of pride. Let's just put it that way, right? But we don't know what they really said to him. Like, yo, Paul, they here wilding, like dudes is, you know what I mean? You know what I mean? Transforming in the middle of the church. You know what I mean? But we didn't get the responses. You see, after he wrote what he wrote, they might have been like, "Yeah, I'm saying though." It's easy for you to say that. You all the way over, right? We don't have any of that. So that's something that's missing, man. And I'm like, wasn't about. It might have been, man. Like, it might have been. I don't know. I had a too upset one. That was more like a, you know what I mean? Yeah, somebody. Let me not say too much. But yeah, man. So that's the thing, man. Like, a lot of times things are missing. That's why this whole like we start off with the question was asking me about gods, and I'm like, they all made up. All the gods are made up. They all subjective, man. If you got a name, it's made up. Or if you like, sometimes people are lazy. They look at an element of nature instead of studying the element. They just turn it into a god. That's the god of the wind. Chill out, man. That just chill out. There's a law of the wind. There's a law of the water. There's a law of the earth. But those laws are supposed to be active in you. Again, we look at a name uh, compendium like we were doing earlier. You know, generator, operator, destroyer, gold, oil, diamonds, arm, leg, arm, head. You know, please educate Allah's children equally. Peace. You know what I mean? It's a lot of them. But we could look at this one, Islam. You know, I self Lord and master. Now some people say I self Lord and master, and then others you might hear I self law and master, which I think is much better actually. Um, that's another one that's like you know a compendium. I. We start with the first letter, first word. I. Well, we know in the supreme mathematics what is I. I is the first eye. I is is your first eye vision, right? But you might think I, and in your first thought, depending on if you're coming from higher nature or lower nature, your first thought is going to be ego I or divine I, right? So if I say I want some rum raisin, right? I'm talking about the personality. You see, the personality, but not my first eye vision. So when we say Islam, I self, what is self? Again, I could say myself. The self is my personality. The self is my identity. No, it's none of those things. The self is my higher self. You see, my higher consciousness, which is not my first eye, it's something different. So my higher consciousness, my first eye vision, my high consciousness, law. Well, what is law? Law is a divine spiritual law. It's a divine truths that run the universe, right? So when I say I self law and master, I'm mastering those divine laws. You see? But where am I mastering those divine laws? When I say I'm mastering those divine laws within my third eye or my first eye. Some of you might call it third eye, first eye. Some of you might call it the pineal. You know, some of you might call it the brow chakra. Like, you know, again, different names. But the symbol, we know what we're talking about. We know what we're talking about, right? We're talking about our true vision, our cyclops vision, our uni vision. You know, where I see things beyond my lower nature. With these two eyes, I see my lower nature. And with these two eyes, I'm looking at myself. I'm like, damn, man, that gray coming in. Dang. Every show you do is more gray. That's what these eyes are seeing, right? The first eye is seeing we almost there. We're getting closer to this to the end of this chapter. I can't wait till it's over. We're getting closer. You see? So it's like, so the I, self, Islam, I self, higher self. Well, what is my higher self? Now we get into the law of correspondence. As above, so below. My heavenly self. So I'm mastering these laws from my heavenly self using my good eye or my spiritual vision, my inner spiritual vision that connects me to the lamp of the Most High. I'm mastering the laws of the Most High. How could you master? Because the Torah is supposed to be alive inside of you. It was breathed into you. The laws of the universe were breathed into you. So when you see a symbol and you become educare or educated, it draws out of you what? The law. You start speaking law. You start living law. You see, that's why you gotta when you put on sisters, when you put on that head wrap and it's got certain symbols on it, know what those symbols mean. Same thing with you brothers. When you wear that dashiki, what do those symbols mean? If you want to put on the Ankh necklace, what does that Ankh represent? Or a cross. If you say, "Hey, I'm going," yeah, all right. I don't want to leave. Well, no, some people need to be left out. Man, take the goddamn cross off your neck. Yeah, I'm not really into inclusion. I know we live in a big era of diversity and inclusion. I'm not an inclusionist. Just to, I'm more of a separatist. Okay. Now, if you want to cut the bottom of the cross a little bit and make it a unilateral cross and get on some Eshui leg bar, all right, I rock with you then. Okay, crossroads. I'm with you. Or next the unknown. Yeah, we could do that. But then crucify him on a cross upside down. Would that be a symbol or a response? I would say that would be a response because he wasn't even crucified on a cross. So you're responding to what they taught you that you accepted. He wasn't crucified. He wasn't crucified on no cross. They didn't even use crosses for thieves like that. They used poles. So yeah, they be lying. They be lying. The cross came later. The cross came later. Maybe they be lying. You know. So yeah, that's the thing. Like, you even look at a word like that, and you might hear the word, especially during Ramadan. You heard the word Islam all the time, but did you make it a symbol for yourself? I self law and mastering, or I self law and master. I self lord and master. I'll take even Lord. Okay, am I mastering these laws? Are these laws coming out of me? Are they shooting out of me? Or am I still here just like being dragged along by, again, like what I was taught? You see, that's the programming that was spoken about. Somebody put that in the chat like before. That's the programming like we get as little children. You know, it goes this and then it goes like this. You're in the school, they say, well, you walk on the right side. Why I gotta walk on the right side? Says who? Why? Why can't I walk on the left side? And then you go to London, they drive on the left side. Why y'all drive on the left side? And the only reason we drive on the right side is because they were rebelling against their parent country, because they did everything in there. They drove their wagons and stuff on the left side, so they said, okay, well, we're gonna do it on the right. Come on, man, that ain't got nothing to do with me. That's y'all stuff. That ain't got nothing to do with me. um, Okay, I see a scripture in the chat. Jeremiah 33:31. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Yisrael after those days, saith the Most High. I will put my law in their inward parts and write it in their hearts and be their Yah, and they shall be my people. Right, right. Some people got it. They already got it. And they just have to be more of it, you see? And some people can never catch it. Like, man, I'm trying, but this is too hard. It's just too hard. I can't figure it out. I can't. Yeah, you might be in the wrong temple. You might be in the wrong temple. But see, part of that, and that question was asked earlier. Like, maybe you're not, the path that you are assigned to, you're just not on. You know, I can't really say that so much about Anu because yeah, there's structure, but I think we're very accommodating. I would say we're very accommodating. And sometimes people feel like, well, this is hard. This is too much. That just shows how off you are. You really are. That shows how off you really, really are. Because this ain't nothing to what the cult of America demands of you. I mean, let's even look at the Anu dues, right? So, people who want to support the ministry and members, they pay a dues every month. When I established the dues structure, you know what? If you want, it could start at $1. You can pay $1 a month for dues. So you pick there's no tithes like we want this. You pick whatever amount you want to give. I'm not going to say what people give, but many people give more than that. I'll just say that. But there are people like, especially like coming off of pandemic and stuff, everybody's money's funny. So some people like, hey man, $5. Okay, okay, it's cool. It's because yes, it does help the ministry a lot. Like we're able to do things more like with more fluidity now. Like we're finishing up some of our legal paperwork and be able to pay for those fees, and because normally everything comes out of my pocket. And then I got to a point where I was like, man, I ain't doing that anymore. I can pay for everything, and it's and me paying for everything, it's just like it's just stingy. Like, oh, you want all the glory. That's just stingy. Or you want to be a martyr. So you be like, yeah, I just have to write this check for this. It ain't you ain't even gotta do all that. you know. So even in that, for some, I say, well, even if you just give $1, give $1, you could find that on the street. You could turn in bottles, but it's the symbol of it, of also saying like, this is a situation that is helping me or has helped me in my life, whether it's the teachings or the camaraderie, the sisterhood, the brotherhood, the correction, whatever it is. And I want to contribute to that well that I drink out of, even if I only have, 100 pennies to give you. Okay, cool. And when we started, like that was a question point that some people had. They was like $1. It's like, no, at least make it this much. I was like, no, it's fine. you know $1 on up. Now if you want to give $10,000, take that too. But if you could be a billionaire and be like, but I got $1 for you. Okay, I'm not gonna be like, but you got $1 billion. If it's $1, it's $1. Because what does it symbolize? More than anything, what does it symbolize? You see? So even in me saying I'm going to pay for everything, I'm not allowing other people to participate in the ritual. Even if their participation is just $1. We go back to, even if it's just that, but they still are participating in the ritual. You see? So some things we participate in are good, and some things yet are speaking of $1. Some things are problematic, man. I think I did the dollar breakdown. It's in one of the segments. I ain't gonna do it right now. Yeah, I think I did the breakdown of all the dollar symbols or the money symbols. I'm pretty sure I remember doing this. I don't remember if it was on a YouTube video though, or if it was in a workshop. I know I did. Because I used to do a lot of talks before the pandemic at different high schools and stuff, and I used to always do the dollar, the symbol breakdown. They used to get a kick out of that, And there's your man, the hottest slave master in the city. There he is, Big G, Big G, from the group home. But yeah, man. So I think I'm gonna, close it out with that. I see Master Menelik says that school system also takes away the ability to look at symbols in a dynamic way and draw wisdom from them because we're taught it goes in two directions, the right way or everything else. Right. That's very true too. But in that system, you're surrounded by symbols, and the thing is like that's where you get a lot of your indoctrination just through the story time. We love story time, and that's when all the fairy tales come out that make zero sense. You know what I'm saying? This they just don't make any sense. But you're told, well, or you're learning stuff that makes no sense, and you're told, well, you'll understand it when you get older. I still don't understand when. Like how old I gotta be for some of that stuff. I every year I used to get the Spiritual Fitness Award. Remember when you got to do pull-ups? I was always good at that when I was a young boy. You had to do a certain amount of sit-ups. You had to do a certain amount of pull-ups. We didn't do push-ups, I don't think. I remember sit-ups, pull-ups, and then in middle school we had to climb the rope. Like how far can you get up the rope? I remember I used to be able to do I always could do the most pull-ups, could always do the most sit-ups, and I always could climb the rope. I haven't met the president yet. And he's like, yeah, you're going to get the Presidential Fitness Award. I don't ever remember getting an award. I feel like maybe I got a certificate, and I feel like I still got to come somewhere and store it somewhere. But I never shook the president's hand or nothing. You know what I mean? So, yeah, they put a lot of symbols in front of us. Oh, you get a gold star. And then you're running and chasing after these symbols, man. and it never really ends. The status symbols even change. Like I've often told a lot of the young boys I know, like I love so much about this new era. Like I'm not one of them older guys that just be like, man, these young dudes are soft. They say, yeah, they are soft though. They definitely soft. You know what I mean? But a lot of Conrads got killed and paralyzed. A lot of them are still sitting in lockup. Been locked up since we was young boys. You know, um, so like yeah, a lot of guys my age may brag about how tough we were, but the system was much tougher. So I'm glad that we got a lot more nerds out here. I'm cool with. I never had an issue with nerds because I was always an undercover nerd anyway. you know. But you got nerds out here, man, and they starting businesses. But the thing about it is that I love that the status symbols change. When I was young, the status symbols is a car and a house. That meant like, oh, he getting real money. Whatever he's doing, he's getting real money. So I got those things very young in life. I bought houses when I was super young, and I bought cars like pretty much like as soon as well before I even had a driver's license. I had cars, and motorcycles, and I love the fact that today, see, those were symbols of something. The symbols have changed now. Nobody cares about a car anymore. Nobody cares. Your phone is a status symbol. How much you travel is a status symbol. Which followers are like on social media is a status symbol. And I actually prefer those because the status symbols of my generation put all of us in a lot of debt. Put all of us in a lot of debt. 30-year mortgages, 15-year mortgages, 6-year finances on vehicles and stuff like that. Now I never financed a car, I always bought my cars flat out, but still, you know, um, I like this new generation, they get Ubers and Lyfts. They go on dates and tell the girl, I don't have a car. And I'll pick you up, or I know y'all do it really. I don't know if y'all be picking girls up on scooters or what, but I like the fact that it's changed now. Like, yeah, because that's more extraction from the system. You have a whole generation of baby boomers right now can't sell their houses. That's been like a big epidemic. They can't. All these baby boomers back in the days, and I fell into that trap too. Who moved out to the suburbs and bought these gigantic houses with these sprawling yards? They're finding now that they can't sell them because new generations and younger people, they don't want these huge old houses that they have to do all these repairs and stuff on. They rather rent in more trendier neighborhoods. So that's been a trend now. Like they rather be in a city where they're closer to all their amenities and just be and spend a little bit more, maybe just have a smaller place or a smaller apartment or whatever, but be in a trendy neighborhood than be in the suburbs in the middle of nowhere because people are not interested in having huge families anymore. So we don't need these big houses. So now people are having trouble selling their houses, right? Um, I don't have a problem with it. I'm with it. I'm with it. Because the symbols are always changing. You see, and you got to stay on top of that to know where it's going. I was having a conversation a little earlier today with one of my old producer friends. We came up in the industry together, and he was asking me some stuff about Puff. Well, I guess y'all call him Diddy, and we were just kind of reminiscing, like we would, from back in the day, sharing stories of stuff that like when you get to a certain age, you're old enough to like have held certain secrets, and when you hold a secret, you never think that it's like we say, like eventually it'll come to light, but you never really think you're gonna see it come to light. But we're old enough to have been around and seen things and like stuff that we knew never speak on because we didn't have the power to speak on it. We just some young producers just trying to, get our next placement, just trying to get on. And you seeing certain things and it's like, yo. And now the world is talking about these things. So we was just like laughing about that and talking about that. And I was sharing with them, I was like, yo, but I also like what's going on musically today. And he was like, what you mean? He was like, oh, I ain't really feeling nothing. I was like, because you ain't really listening for nothing. You stuck. You stuck back then. But I was like, if you really things have changed in a very interesting way. When we were coming up, sampling was like there was a lot of laws that were not written yet for sampling. So that's why when you listen to like old public enemy music and stuff, it's so sample heavy because they didn't really know what to do back then. Lawyers, like, how do we go after this money? They didn't write the laws yet, so people was going crazy with samples. But our music was more primitive because our equipment was more primitive. Whereas nowadays, and that's what I was saying to him, I like what these like young guys and females are doing. There's a lot of female producers in the game because like, yeah, they don't have access to, but they do because they can go on YouTube and get all the music they want. We used to have to go to record shops and like be sitting there looking for something to sample, but now it's like, but there's more laws where they get caught. They can't hide their samples like we did, but their music, their equipment is not primitive, so they can make any idea they come up with. They can make it. The music, I mean, the equipment doesn't limit them for what they want to do, and I love it. I love it because that means there's more garbage music out here now. Because anybody can get in the game and say I'm making beats, but that also means that those who do have some talent, they have nothing limiting them, and I love it. Everything changes, man, and you want to be in front of that change. You don't want to be the old person. That's remember when it talks about know thyself, old man, because in this you shall know God. Don't get old. Don't get old. Your body's gonna do what it's gonna do, whatever. But that first eye should never get calcified. It should always be blinking, blinking, taking in, taking out. That you want that first eye blinking. That's what it does. It blinks. You see, if it's closed and sleep for 20 years, man, you letting stuff pass you by. And if it's open all the time, then it's not processing anything. You want it to be constantly blinking. You see, and then you'll see the advantages of today. You'll see the advantages of yesterday. You'll see what things can be melded together, what things have to be evolved. That's the higher nature controlling and ruling the lower nature, as above, so below. You see? So, with that, yeah, man. Yeah, yeah, I think we good. All right. So this has been our study session, man. And I want to thank all of you who threw up, your signs. I mean, not your signs, threw up your information into the chat. Um, my mind is, I'm reminiscing too much now. But yeah, man, thank you for everyone who contributed, and just remember, like, you can always. I actually meant to put the link in for anybody who wanted to join me. Maybe I'll do that next strong. If anybody wants to join in and drop your, you know, your whatever you feel like talking about. You know what I'm saying? Bill's session is that. It's just that. I always say inside of I throw a brick in, you throw a brick, this person throw a brick in. It's not necessarily one person just giving or whatever. It's a time where we can test out some of the stuff we're saying. There's been times, sometimes somebody throws something in the bill, and I'll be like, now you gotta go back and go work on that one. You gotta research on that one, and that's what you want, man. This is your time to sharpen your sword, if you will. Menelik says it's interesting how some elders get nostalgic for the first 5 seconds of the song, right before someone starts singing about the color of their booty hole. Yeah, that's when they're using the samples. You know, the samples don't be fit. It's like when Wu Tang, can it be so simple? She's like, let's talk about the old days. And Raekwon says, yeah, let's talk about them SHITs. It's like, oh, this is a rap song. Oh, they're rappers. you know. But yeah, man, it's blending. That's still blending the old and the new. Which we saw some beautiful synthesis of that. Even with early hip hop, man, bringing all that James Brown in and Ohio players and the sampling. You know what I'm saying? Shoot, EPMD sampled Bob Marley. Whoever sampled Bob Marley, they sampled I Shot the Sheriff. Like, a blending of the old and the new. And then it got, then it went out west and that was that. That was that, you know. But yeah, man, everyone definitely thank you for coming through. I will be back tomorrow at noon. to provide you with the Sabbath insight. Okay, so definitely tune in for that. Same channel, you know, and noon Eastern for the Sabbath insight. We've been going over the righteous family, design of the righteous family, and last Sabbath I did vetting women, and this Sabbath I'm gonna do vetting men. Obviously, everything got to be balanced, right? So yeah, this one would be good. I think it might be a little rough, because I'm always a little rough, like rougher when it comes to the responsibilities of the master of the home and the father, because yeah, he's got more on him. But I think it's a very important segment because I have found women who've, or young girls even, who've ended up in some really life altering situations because they did not know how to properly vet someone and research someone and scrutinize someone before they opened themselves up to them. Sometimes people are very quick to open up their legs and very slow to open up their minds. And as a result, they end up with an understanding that is completely off because they didn't get the knowledge of the person first. And even, they just listened to what someone said and didn't really urge or show and prove sort of reality. And like I always say to young women, to you older women, listen with your eyes. Don't listen with your ears, because Lucifer is the prince of the air. It's the things that you hear that mess you up all the time. It's just like for men, things that we see that mess us up. It's the things that we see that's what ruins us. And for women, it's the things that you hear. You see, and you have to learn how to listen with your eyes. You know, let someone show and prove. Let's see how consistent their decision making is. What's really coming forth from that, and anything they're throwing up and shouting and say, "I'm like this, I'm like that." Let's see some fruit. A tree is known by the fruit that it bears. All right. So I'm not going to get off onto that. I'm going to let you all do your thing. And yeah, you can continue to drop questions in the comment section. They'll get to me even after the video. And also questions at anunation.org. I don't think we're using Anu Life Global, but questions at anunation.org. You can send your questions there, and I'll also pull from them as well. This is for study session, not necessarily for Sabbath insights, but definitely for study session. Also on I'm joining Twitter is over, on X or on any other social media platform, whether it's X or it's Facebook or it's Instagram. You can also see that hashtag right there, hashtag AnuQuest, ANUQUEST. Our brother El Karar came up with that. You know what I mean? So once in a while, you know what I'm saying? He don't just break down movies. Sometimes he's good at branding too. So if you ask a question and put that tagline in it, we'll find it and we will share it on the show as well. And any question you might have, that's what study group is for. Or and it might not be a question, it might be a comment, it might be something you like, hey, I realized this and I want to share this game. I saw this. OJ Simpson just died at 76, and I'm thinking the 76 number means this, and it might be anything. Mr. C just died at 50, and you know, so it might be, no, was he 57? One of them. But it could be something like that. We had an eclipse on April 8th, but we had a 4.8 Richter scale earthquake in New York 3 days before the eclipse, right? Was it the 8th? It was the 8th, right? But so you might have something, you might be thinking about the numbers that way. New York don't get earthquakes. What the heck? We never get earthquakes. Let's look at them numbers. 4.8. Well, Japan's was a 7. I mean, Taiwan's was a 7.2. You might start playing with the numbers, and something comes to you all of a sudden. You realize like there's something odd going on here. This sounds like some doggone Revelation stuff. Earthquakes, the moon blocking out the sun, famines. Oh, and they say now they got these new bugs that's coming up out of the ground in California, and they cannot figure out where they're coming from. And I saw some images of them. They look like something from Alien. They're small bugs, but they're coming up out of the ground. And I'm like, yo, they could be coming from Shambhala. You know where the freak they coming from. Come on, man. You know this underworld worlds. Anyway, I don't get off into all that. So yeah, thank you for tuning in. And like I said, you can always send in your questions, and you can do it through questions at Anu Life, anunation.org, or if you want to just do it through social media, just use the hashtag AnuQuest, and we will find it. Or you could always just drop them in the comment section, question, comment, whatever, and I'll explore them on it. All right. So with that, I'm out, and enjoy the rest of your evening, everyone. Shalom.
Giving honor to the Most High, creator of all worlds, seen and unseen. We stand before you humbly, with hearts ready to receive your infilling of wisdom and spirit. We give honor to our ancestors, on whose shoulders we stand. Without those you designated to come before us, we would not know who you are today. We thank you for the healing balm that you send through our minds, bodies, and spirits. We thank you for giving us a name, giving us a culture, being our watcher and protector. Originator, you are the first cause of all existence. You are the banner of truth that we lift whenever deceivers seek to blind our vision and put us to sleep. Where would we be without the lessons and deep wisdom you have given us to secure a dignified life for ourselves? In times of confusion, we rely on your peace, which surpasses all understanding. You are an L of order. We stand on the promise that you will remove chaos from our lives if we walk in the divine way you have laid before us. We rest with the knowing that you are able and great. Your plans are always the best plans. Our power comes from you. Our light comes from you. Our destiny comes from you. Thank you for all of the graces you continue to bestow on us. Thank you, Most High. Thank you, Father Knowledge. Thank you, Mother Wisdom. Thank you, Messiah, for the words of power. Selah.
Gave me your love. You are the hero of my life. Gave me your name. Gave me your love. You are the hero of my life. Gave me your name. Gave me your love. You are the hero of my life. I don't always know which way to go, but you see me before I see myself. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, to present you faultless before the presence of his glory. Now unto him that is able to keep you from falling, to present you faultless before the presence of his glory. Now unto him, hallelujah, that is able to keep you from falling, to present you faultless.